Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Saturn, or the Baron, and I am going to be having a very nice and fun and interesting conversation with.
Hi, everyone. My name is Miranda, but you will probably better know me as Freydis Ilska. I'm a chatelain in my local shire in the East Kingdom. Hi.
And I'm in the Kingdom of Northshield. But I do a lot of traveling. I'm currently in the Kingdom of Ontir working, and then I'll be going to the Kingdom of Outlands and working. So I get to do a lot of traveling, meet a lot of people, to include my friend. So this was like a great opportunity for us to discuss more stuff about recruiting and retention and coming up with really good plans, especially on what's been happening uh, pandemic wise, membership wise, everything like that. And Freya will talk about her uh, a wonderful experience of uh, doing a convention that got noticed by the kingdom, which was perfect. And we're going to discuss essentially what should happen next. And every kingdom will be different, but at least I come up with some potential plans. And I hope other people that watch this can discuss with their own group or other members and friends that they have from other kingdoms, because other kingdoms might be doing something that you're like, hey, that'll work great with us. And then you can start implementing them, because this is a very frail time. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know exactly how much longer this is going to be, and we don't know exactly how fast we're going to get back up to full activity. We might be in a period of 3, 6, 9 months of partial activities. So we need to figure out what needs to happen. So how long have you been your group's chatelain now?
Oh, I think I've been chatelain for probably 10 months, 9 months. I was just elected in this past February. Before that, I was deputy to our last chatelain. And I kind of very rapidly got involved with my local shire after just kind of meandering around the SCA for a while. But I kind of jumped in and have been running full force since then.
That's usually how it works. Have you noticed one of the things that I've been writing notes and stuff like that, and of course I left most of them at my office, so I'm going to go by memory right now. But one of the things that I have seen that usually is both a positive, but I've also seen it actually work as a very big detriment, is when people start into the SCA, sometimes they just, I don't want to say go hog wild, but they kind of go to the extreme events right away. It's like, oh, my first one was like our nice little Shire group. And then I went to our Kingdom Crown list. And then I went to Penzing. And it's like, and then I went to another small event, and it wasn't as fun or exciting because I went to all these really big, spectacular events. And now I'm just doing the small ones, and you don't get the time to get the interest, to grow the fascination, the hey, this is what intrigues me, this is something new, and you create a building process that people continue to build, instead of like, now I'm bored.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that a little bit myself. I mean, I feel like I might have been one of those people, because when I first started in the SCA, the first thing I went to, first things I went to were actually fighting practices where I watched, and I just thought that was so cool. And then I immediately dived into big tournament events where I went and watched, and that was so cool. But I definitely just kind of was only like in it for the really big, exciting stuff. But over time, because I kept going to the practices, I definitely started to build relationships with people and learn more, and that helped grow my interest more in the actual organization and being a more active member than just being someone who goes to the big things, which is a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie, it's a ton of fun. But it's also really fun to go to practice. It's a lot of fun. I got very involved with my local shire's archery practice, and I met a ton of great people and formed new friendships and learned a lot and got to shoot things. And it was great. And it took me over a year to get to that point where I was going to practices to learn things for myself. Up until that point, I had just been a kind of a passive observer. And once I became more actively involved in practice itself and going to the little things, like the shire meetings, the little things, I started to have started to get more out of it. Is probably a better way to describe it. I started to learn more, build like really good friendships, and just get more from the SCA than what I thought I was getting from just being kind of, there for the fun stuff. If
No,
that makes sense.
I totally agree, because that's why we have the fighters practices outside in a public park to kind of get notice and get that, oh, look at that. I got some time. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to check them out. And then I always call those like the fringe people, the ones that are curious. They have not really committed yet, but they found something that is kind of interesting. But it's always the very next step. And to me, this is how I look at it, like, how do we market the SCA? And everyone kind of tries to market it differently. And that works. So you're going to, the ones that cause the, oh man, I want to hit someone. That's great. Or you got someone who's like a great singer. It's like, oh, I love to do bardic. I love to do this. You got people who are like really into costume design and things like that. Then you really get, hey, you really need to talk to this person, because this person can probably teach you in like 3 new stitches. How do you really put 2 different fabrics together? And you create, now it's just not the cool, exciting, or if you went on a date when it's like, oh man, look at that person, she's hot, or like he's really handsome. Yeah, that's the first attraction. But then it's like, hey, let's talk. I think I can talk about dogs. Oh, this is not going to end well. But you have to find the other interests. And that's where you really get the people hooked into doing stuff. And I think what needs to happen a lot more is you have these big demos that you put on to kind of announce, this is who we are, this is what we can do. But then immediately after that, you need to have like a special meeting. Like normally if you have like a meeting once a month, after this demo, you need to have another meeting so that the people who are interested can still initially, hey, I still remember, oh, you're having a meeting in 3 days. I can now come to that and I can get some more information. And then we will have like an archery shoot night. So you can show up there. So you get a little bit more of a understanding of what it is, the different things that are there, to find out what still makes you more interested in the SCA. And I believe that's what you did with your Comic-Con demonstration. So if you can tell everyone the story of that, because this is what I think is what needs to happen. These things where you're kind of getting the fringe people interested, and then how to make sure that they keep coming back.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back into my own SCA kind of discovery story, because growing up, like, I always liked playing pretend. As an adult, always liked to dress up in costumes, and I loved medieval stuff, and I love sci-fi and fantasy too. And I had no idea that the SCA existed. And I was introduced to it by someone who grew up with it. And if it wasn't for that person, I never would have known it existed. And I was just kind of floored, like, how did this thing exist all my life and I never knew about it? Because I owned a cape before I joined the SCA. I owned a period cape for just dress up before I joined. Like, I had garb before I knew what garb was. And the fact that I didn't know about it was just crazy to me, because a lot of my friends would have been into it. My parents would have been into it if they had known it existed. My own mother even said to me, if I had known about this when I was younger, I would have been involved, would have grown up involved. And that just goes to show that the SCA has a PR problem. And in that, it has a PR problem in that no one knows about us. No one knows what we are, that we even exist to begin with. When I got involved with my local shire, I started off like kind of small with practices, and I started talking more with my archery marshal, whose name is Tulafloy, who's a wonderful person. Love you, Tulafloy. And Martha and Ragnall, who you know as Cooper. and and then you came, and I started off like I started doing demos with my shire and volunteering at demos and seeing what demos were like, and I had a lot of fun doing that. And we had a demo at a Celtic fair, and that it was cool, but there weren't a lot of people there. Like it wasn't as like, and the weather wasn't that great that day either. And it was a lot of fun, and it was really cool to do. And I'm just like, man, like I wish we could like, do this in a more visible place. And when you came, like you were giving us some fight practices, and it was awesome. And we got to talking after practice. Like we had practice at a park with me and Cooper. And I was like, I don't know how the conversation got started.
And your dog.
And my dog, yes, my dog was there. Yes, she's here right now. She's actually laying across my legs right now. She's everywhere I am, basically. And I don't remember quite how the conversation got started, but I remember like somehow it was brought up that there was a Comic-Con coming to Harrisburg. I live right outside of the city of Harrisburg, and I was like, we should be there. And you were like, yes, you should be there. And I was like, why don't we do a demo there? And Cooper or Ragnall was like, yeah, why don't we do a demo there? And that would be a very visible place. And so I was like, all right. And I talked to my archery marshal, Tulafloy, or Tracy, and I was like, I want to do this. And she's like, okay, well, I'll show you how to write a proposal. And so I got a proposal started. I contacted the Comic-Con people. I explained to them what we were, and no one in my shire had ever tried to do a Comic-Con to my knowledge. And I had never tried to run a demo before. So I was kind of going into this completely unsure of how to move forward. And I went the vendor route. And I was like, we're a nonprofit educational organization. Can we have some kind of discount on some space? And they did give us a discount, but the space we were given was still more expensive than we would have liked. And a lot of people in my shire, one, were just nervous about doing it in general, because we had never done anything like this before. And demos don't cost money. Demos never cost money. Why would we spend money on a demo? And and I understand that absolutely, but I was like, the benefits of this, like we need to become more visible. If people don't know that we exist, we will die. Our organization, our shire will die. We need more young people. I'm one of the limited number of young people in my shire. And though everyone in my shire is wonderful, we need more new blood to keep growing
You
and
are
to keep expanding
so
into
correct
the
on that.
future.
Young blood always needs to come in, because that's the energy that young blood brings in, revitalizes a lot of people or activities, and especially ideas. So that's why it was like, yes, you got this great idea. Just don't stop. Just ram it through, whatever you have to do. And I know you got some feedback, because it was mostly
Mhm,
probably a lot of people just being scared. Like you said, they hadn't done it before.
mhm.
Um, don't know if we
It
actually
was a lot of
should.
money.
It was a lot of money, but that's kind of what the everyone has money for, is for some of these things that, okay, we're not probably going to get all of our money back or any of it back, but we have to get our group, our face, our activities known. So people, as you can say, they know about us now. Sorry, so
Yeah.
please continue.
And yeah, well, the way I kind of thought of it and the way I kind of tried to pitch it, um, well, at our actual meeting where we voted on it, I was so nervous. Cooper had to do most of the talking for me because it was the most crowded Shire meeting I had ever been to. And I had been to just a few before where there were like maybe 10 people max. And this room in the East Shore Public Library was just packed with people I had never seen before. And I was just like, because everybody wanted to say something about this issue and had questions about this demo. And I was just amazed by how many people who I'd never seen in person, I'd only seen online, had come out of the woodwork to, weigh in. And I was just so kind of taken aback on just the discussion, how much it got people involved who had been silent for some time. People
Well, it
who I had
wasn't
never
just the
seen
local
before had just
people
come
too.
out. Yeah,
It,
yeah, this was the local Shire, people who I hadn't seen, I had never met, and were longtime members but hadn't been involved, were now coming out because this demo got them to come out and be
but
part of it. And it was just kind of,
but wasn't there like other
go
people
ahead.
either from like other groups or from the kingdom that showed up too?
Yes, kingdom representatives were there too. Kingdom representatives came, and they were very much in favor. They loved the idea. They were very, very into it. And they told me at one point, if your Shire doesn't want to do this demo, don't tell the Comic-Con no. Kingdom is interested. Don't give up the spots that they're holding for you.
And you
Tell them
actually
Kingdom is interested.
had
And
4 spots. It wasn't just like one spot. You had 4 spots. It was
yes,
a really big corner of the
yeah. Well,
air
that's the
hall.
irony. I believe, and I might here, let me look this up, because if I'm remembering correctly, we paid for less than what we got. They gave us way more space than we paid for. They turned out to be extremely generous, and were just, they let all of our volunteers come in free. Well, going back in the story a little bit, I'm jumping ahead of myself. They we all clearly, my Shire voted to approve it. And which is what I wanted, because I wanted my Shire to do it. And I was just amazed, and it was wonderful. And yes, we did, you were right, we did pay for 4 spots. We did pay for 4 spots, but we got so much more than that. We got the space in between the spots. We got that whole corner. They even had changing rooms in the back, because this was a former Boscos in a mall. We got changing rooms for our people to change and store stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, over night, and it was just absolutely fabulous. And we had a huge turnout of people from multiple Shires
Let
and
me just ask,
kingdom.
add one thing to demonstrate how big these 4 spots were and everything. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he volunteered and he put his Viking tent in the corner, and there was still a lot of room. So these 4 spots were actually huge. And
We had a, yeah, yeah, we had a an area roped off for combat. We had little, you were there, we had little tournaments in the Comic-Con.
and
The
dancing
Comic-Con, and dancing,
and
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 live Bardic.
actually taught some ballroom dancing.
Yes. Yes, and we had live Bardic performances. We had people
Games.
working on A&S. Oh, sorry, it's lagging. I'm losing.
And there was games. There was the second day, someone brought in their woodworking stuff, and he was shaving gigantic shavings of wood.
Yes.
Your friend, I believe, showed up, sang and played on the flute. I mean, it was, as you said, a lot of people. How many people from both, I mean, from the local group, the surrounding groups, and from the kingdom showed up to help for that weekend?
Oh gosh, I've got to say, it's because not everyone could do both days, 2
Right.
days. And I have to say, we had at least 50 volunteers coming in and out.
I was
Like
going to
at
say about
least,
50 or 60, and it was,
yeah.
everyone had a
And
blast helping because
hmm,
they got to show off their skill of, okay, I'm going to show everyone who's walking by hand woodworking. Uh, your
yeah,
friend that was doing the music, she was just there, just playing and answering questions. And little kids, oh my gosh, we had so many little kids that wanted to hit that pedal and everything like that. It was so nice.
we had crowds of people surrounding our area. We had crowds like the I think the Comic-Con people were just loving us. The people, the other vendors in that corner, because we were in like the far corner of this former boss cost, were also like, thank you for being here. This corner is normally completely empty. And we were drawing business to them. They
Exactly.
loved us being there.
The ones that
Like
would visit them
we
would come
had
to us. The ones that would come to us would now go to them. It's that whole, we have to work together. And
mhm,
the Shire and the local groups and the kingdom people that showed up all work together to make literally probably the best Comic-Con demo, not just Comic-Con, but just any comic like demo type thing like that. One of the best ones I had seen, just for the sheer amount of stuff, from tapestries to
yeah,
everyone in garb to, hey, go inside my friend's Viking tent. I mean, you don't see that.
yeah, yeah. It was epic, in a word. It was epic. We had a lot of people. I even had at one point someone who ran a podcast come up and interview me. Yeah, and Tanaka, who is a member of my kingdom, who travels around and does a lot of demos and outreach stuff, and they interviewed him a little bit, and we just had so much positive feedback from people. We had so many people go, oh my gosh, I didn't know this existed. This is local, and you can just come do
Also,
this.
another thing, if the way all the people that were there were just not actually local people. They were people that had come from like 50, 100, 150 miles away, and they were like, "Oh, we're
Maryland.
right." But there were some people that were like, "Was where are you from?" York. Oh, that's Owl's Nest. Here, there's someone here from
Ellshurst.
Owl's Nest. I'm sorry, Owlshurst, excuse me, Owlshurst. And there's someone from Owlshurst. Let me introduce you so now you have a one-on-one contact. And when I
Yeah.
talked to Sir Tanaka and uh, another lady from the kingdom later on that night, we were talking, and they were like, as you said, this was literally the perfect time to be doing something like this because they've been wanting to do something like this.
Mhm.
And the whole point is that they were trying to say every group needs to help out every other group. So
Absolutely.
for something like this, even though it's your guys' event, Owlshurst can say, you know what, we want to help next year. We'll pay for 2 of the sites and we'll bring
Yeah.
people. And all of a sudden now for one demo, you're just not getting people for your group. You're getting people for potentially 3 other groups because you
Yeah.
are getting it known. And it's not just your area, your small activity or whatever like that. And that, from what when I was talking with them, they were like, this is what we want to see. We want to be able to help each other out. And every time we help you out, you help us out with some other activity or with recruiting more people or whatever. And that's something that's kind of been missing in the society for a long time. Everyone's always kind of trying to do a lot of stuff, but they also don't work a lot with other groups. Some groups are like, no, if we can't do it ourselves, then we shouldn't be doing it. No, that it just means that you need to ask for help. And as a neighboring group, we should help. And this, as you said, perfect storm. This was the most ideal situation because everyone came in all with the purpose of helping out, doing a great thing. And I know there was a lot of, like I said, a bit of fear involved because, hey, we've never done this before. But that's kind of like why I think it went so well was the fact we've never done this before. Let's just do it and kind of show everything we got. It's much easier to pull stuff back than, well, we got like 3 things that's supposed to be going on all day for 2 days. It's going to wear us out. And all of a sudden people are like, oh, like Debbie Downer, bad energy. No, we had a lot of people. And they're like, well, I can't make it for both days. Oh, if you make it for 1 day, that's great. That's fine. And that's a nice thing. It's like you bring to it what you can and what you want. And then just enjoy it. Don't expect that you have to carry the whole thing on your shoulders. And I know for you, you were like, well, this is my thing. And that was, I mean, I'll freely admit, I was a little scared because this was really your first demo.
Yeah.
But you have the energy of a demigod. So therefore, it's like, I want to do this. I know it's going to be tough, but I'm going to do it. It's like, you go, girl, you go. Because that's what needs to happen. And honestly, that to me, that also brings up what I say is like the 3 major things. Oh, are you still there? Oh, sorry. I don't mean to be cutting out. Like I said, I'm in a hotel room, so my internet's not the greatest. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes. So, oh, sorry. Like I said, I'm in a hotel room, so my internet is not the greatest. So, at least it's not raining, so it's a little bit better. One of the things that I see that comes into play is for something to happen, whether it's a demo, whether it's putting together an event, or just like fighters practice, archery, or anything, people have to have an individual drive, an energy, a spirit that's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to come up with something, and it's going to be great. Sometimes the problem that comes into play is you need some help. Well, at that point, the help really needs to come from your group. If you need more help than your group, then you need help essentially almost from the kingdom. So you got individual, you got group level. I'm singing, that's interesting. I wonder what's going on. I hope this is doing the bell noise. Interesting. Sorry, everyone. Hopefully this is recording okay since I'm recording on my side.
Yeah, I hope it's recording okay.
So, but as I was saying, it really comes down to whenever you do something from a demo to an event to an idea that you want to do, like you want to do online classes, or you want to do something else besides a demo to try and get things going. It really comes down to 3 levels, and that is an individual level, it's a group level, or it's a kingdom level. And sometimes you have to get all 3 of them to help support it. Yours was perfect because it was all 3 of them. You had your own, you had your group plus surrounding groups, and you had kingdom level support. And that's why it worked out so great as far as I'm concerned. Sometimes though, like for me doing these classes, this is me doing an individual thing. And some people like them, some people don't. And I'm not here to try and make everyone happy. I just try and make people hopefully think. Ah, it's fine. It's so silly.
Yeah, but
No, people won't be upset. I mean, most of the time that people do stuff, whenever, like I said, it's more of a unknown factor, or what I say a lot is a lot of times people are afraid because they feel like they're going to lose control or anything like that.
yeah,
Because they want to be able to put a part of themselves into what it is. And you would have still done the demo the way that you wanted to, no matter who supported it. And that's what it's supposed to happen. So,
yeah.
like I say, when I become king, one of my requirements is, if I'm going to be going to your event, you better have dancing at it.
Darn it.
Why darn it?
Oh, I hate dancing.
That's too bad.
But
If I'm king,
but I'll do it for
show
you.
up, I will. It's like, come on, girl, you're dancing with me, and we're doing the Karabushka, and we're going to do it for at least 20 minutes, and 10 minutes of that is going to be silent movie face things where you're just standing there looking and then doing this.
No. It's my worst nightmare.
Oh, gee, thanks a lot.
I'd rather hit people with sticks.
But I love dancing. I've been dancing over 20 years. And to me, it's one of the things like fighting that gets people involved. And when I tell people like how medieval dancing is actually like a lot of modern day dancing. So if you can do modern day dancing, you can do SCA dancing. So it's not that hard, but people don't dance. So they get nervous and they're like, oh, I don't want to look stupid. I don't know if I'm going to have the right footing. And the first thing I tell everyone is, you know what? There's no wrong foot movements. There's no wrong steps, because most of it was not written down. It was so late period when I started writing stuff down that whatever you're doing as a dance, someone 1,000 years ago said, you know what? I'm going to do this. And they did it. So your steps are 100% correct and accurate. So I'm still promoting dancing and everything like that. But a lot of places are like, well, I mean, if you have the event and you have dancing, yeah, we'll go and we'll do like an hour or two worth of dancing. Okay, that's great. But it's still, dancing is kind of.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get it going. Well, like I said, I'm doing it individually. As a group, if we hold an event, I will try and do it at an event or at a neighboring event. There's one called Bardic Blades that's done every year in Bismarck, and I volunteer to teach dancing at that. And they're like, oh yeah, that's great. I do that one and maybe one other one. And it's not a lot, but so I'm like, let's see, what else can I do to increase dancing? When I become king, now kingdom level, I will make a requirement where everyone will have dancing at an event that I'm at. They might not like it, but at least at kingdom level, I can now influence. So everything that happens, really, individual, group, and kingdom are the three main levels of how to influence. So yeah, yours was the exact same thing. All three levels of influence, and it all worked out great. And they want you to do it again. Unfortunately, this last year, because of the pandemic, didn't happen, unfortunately. But hopefully next year it will. And come up with more ideas. So this is where I want to talk to you about coming up with the fringe ideas, promoting other interests. Are you still there? It says you're still there. Are you still there? I can hear you typing.
Bye. Maybe it'll help if I'm not doing video. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Are you still there?
It says your bandwidth is low.
I know. It's very sad for me. I'm sorry. It's what I got to deal with though. Still says it's recording, so I can still hear you.
Okay, that's good. I sometimes hear you, but most of the time your voice is a robot to me. Like a singing robot.
Nice.
Every other word is not coming through and it's like bang, bong, bang, like a ringing kind of bell sound.
That's what you meant. Okay. All that matters is that you can watch this later and hopefully hear everything that I'm saying.
Yes, that is the goal. Yes.
I really wish this bet was more professional, but unfortunately, this is what I got to deal with. So, I mean, not just today, but I still want to do a couple more of these with you because I think having more than one viewpoint, and especially a different viewpoint from a different kingdom and from a different level, I think is very important because different people, different groups can relate and have different ideas. So one of the things that I want to talk to you now about is besides that demo, and I'm assuming because we couldn't have it this last year, you're still planning on doing it next year, right?
Yes.
That's good.
Yes, we are. I am concocting something for next year. It's a work in progress. I've been in contact with the Comic-Con organizers, and they're like, yes, we very much want you to come back when we have it again. So we're just kind of waiting on, getting closer to that time. And I do have some evil plans. Muhahaha.
No, that's good.
Concoct for next year.
Are you also in contact with some of the other groups around you to help out again?
Yes, well, my plan involves reaching out to other groups. I also want to see what I can work out with the Comic-Con organizers themselves, because I have some plans about how how we interact with each other in the future now that they know what we have to offer their Comic-Con. I thought of that first demo as being like getting our foot in the door and showing what we bring to add to their, experience. And we brought in people. And they told me this. We had people stay for longer than they would have if we were not there. We brought more people into that little corner than would have been if we were not there.
And I think
we made people stay at the con longer.
Really drew people in because
yes,
we were announcing we're going to be having a fighting demo in 10 minutes. We're going to be having a dancing demo in 10 minutes. So people are like, oh, I wonder what that is. And yeah, I definitely think that besides bringing them to the back corner, having a physical aspect to any type of demo really has a way of causing an adrenaline rush. Like, whoa, oh my gosh, I hope that person's not seriously injured. Oh my gosh. Or like, whoa, that was awesome. It gets hey, I want to see what they do next. It's an anticipation aspect. that I totally agree with them. Drawing more, keeping them there longer.
So yes, and I have some plans now that they've seen what we bring. I have some plans I want to discuss with them about expanding in the future and how, because we would like to come back, but we are not a rich organization. And so I'd like to kind of rediscuss the terms of our, of our participation now, especially that they know what we bring.
Sure.
And what having us there is like.
So now that you got this one going, what are some other things that you are now like, okay, we got this, so now we're going to kind of refine it and make it better. Now let's see, what can we improve on? What can we do next? What is the next thing we will do to get ourselves known?
I can't hear you at all.
Ah. All right.
I can't hear you at all. It's all robot singing. I'm sure you're asking great questions. You want to try typing them?
I will write and type at the same time. Okay, what other things besides the Comic-Con demo are you now working on to improve the SCA visibility? So other things you're going to do, other things you have in mind.
Working on to improve the SCA visibility. One big thing with SCA visibility, I think just the SCA as a whole needs to improve on. And I'm doing it somewhat with my shire. I could definitely be doing more, but it's a pandemic and I'm working. So at least I'm doing something right now. I'd like to be doing more. But one of the big things I think we all need to do more of is social media and working on our internet presence, especially since we can't hold in-person events, at least in my kingdom right now. We can do practices, but not events in person. I think this is a great opportunity for the SCA. Can't hear you.
Try it again, typing. In what way?
In what? Well, for one thing, I think one little thing I've picked up on is a lot of SCA groups within a kingdom will have a Facebook group, at least in my kingdom, but don't have a Facebook page. The groups are private. You have to join to see the content. For outreach, you should have a page for your group so people can search it and find it and see what you have to offer. Like events should be posted there. And so the public can see it and, actually participate without, joining a private Facebook group, which can be scary. Instagram, a lot of young people especially use Instagram more. I think that the SCA should be on Instagram a lot more than I've seen. I don't know if any of my local groups have an Instagram. I know my shire doesn't. I think that's something, we should be utilizing more in general that I haven't seen. Yeah, I just typed in SCA on Instagram and none of these results are for the SCA. And, I think Instagram would make us way more visible. I think that we should be holding online events, discussion. And whoa, I just found my kingdom's Instagram apparently. Well, it calls itself East Kingdom. I don't know. This isn't actually the East Kingdom. This is a guy who calls himself East Kingdom. Okay. So we don't have an Instagram presence that I can find. Let's see. Yep. Nothing that I can find. We should have, more of an Instagram presence. I think we should be having online events.
No.
Stuff that people can do virtually.
I completely agree on the online events. I also believe that most of the stuff is more of a legal issue pertaining to social media, because there's been a lot of the stuff that people post that become a political issue or a cultural issue pertaining to equal rights and diversity and everything like that. So that's why I think.
And I do see that.
Well, no, true. A Facebook page isn't a personal account.
Yes.
But the problem is
Yes.
that the group is still legally liable if there's something that comes into play at some level. That's why a lot of accounts are going from public to private. Let's see. Oh, I'm so sorry. This is not. I'm going to try move my computer a little bit, see if I get a better signal. I probably doubt it.
I'm sure you're making excellent points. Unfortunately, I just can't hear them.
I know. Darn this internet.
You know, because yeah, like, you know, most of my Facebook, because I run my group's Facebook page, and most of what I post there is events. I make our events public so that the public can see them, if they are our practices. Even I include our practices, gatherings, shire meetings. I post memes, funny cartoons. I post bardcore from YouTube. You know, it's very wholesome, clean, basic stuff. There isn't a lot of, it's just, you know, showing what we're about, what we offer. And it's not like the Facebook group is where the discussion happens. The Facebook page is more for making us visible. So I understand why people have nervousness about having a Facebook page, but it doesn't, that isn't where you're going to have group like interactions. It's where you're going to just have a public platform so people can see what you're offering. It's like an ad is how I think of it. You know, it's like having an ad on Facebook. It's like, hey, this is here and this is what's happening with it.
Well,
join us.
There's people that are saying groups should have a YouTube channel, or I'm going to say page. And that way they can add videos or classes specifically for the group so people can go and look at. Or say they have a class that they're doing once a month. It's on there, people are watching it, and then it's stored so they can review it later on for new people. So every face group page or group sees it differently on what they want on their page. And that's where there's a lot of differences or conflict, because I've been sending a lot of my videos to a lot of different places, a lot of different groups, and on, I think, almost every single kingdom. And I've only had just a couple people say, well, most of our members see the kingdom page, and we know you post on the kingdom page. Do you think it's okay if you don't post on ours anymore? I'm like, no, that's fine. I'm not trying to overwhelm you or trying to take over or anything like that. I'm just trying to, from what I've seen and talked to a lot of people, they want a lot of videos. They want some good understanding of basic stuff, but they also want some intermediate level videos where it's like, okay, we're going to now, instead of just talking about basic Roman history, now we're going to go into a little bit more detail on the food or the costumes or the religious
aspects of their society. They want to do a little bit more in-depth research. And some groups are like, yes, we want that, so we can have it on our page because we think it's great. Others are like, no, we don't want that on our page. We want to have our page be very specific about something, and that's fine because it's their page. So it's kind of hard to find something that kind of goes well with everything. You just kind of throw it all out there, and then if people like it, they like it. If they don't, then they either don't look at it or they say, thank you very much, but we're going to remove it from our post. And that's fine. That's what they do. Yep, it's.
Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can. I don't think I actually ever not hear you.
Okay, well, that's good. I lose you a lot, but I'm glad you can still hear me. What I just kind of wanted to add, because I could kind of make out most of what you were saying, not all of it, most of it, I think. I honestly think it's, and I wrote this in our little chat on the side, you know, it's about finding what works for your individual group for outreach, because there's, you know, I think what you've been saying is there's a lot of different things you can try, and finding what works for you guys and what you're, you know, you feel comfortable and you feel good at doing and you find that works, whatever works is great. You know, I think the Facebook page for my shire worked. Kind of going back to my Comic-Con, going back in time here a little bit, after the Comic-Con, our archery marshal Tulafloyd was like, you know, we should have something set up for after the Comic-Con. So for retention, for getting these new people to come in.
Exactly.
And we did intro classes, which you helped us do. And we had like intro to heavy combat, intro to archery for people, like, and we made them public on our Facebook group, our Facebook page. They were public events on our Facebook page that we advertised on our Facebook page. If
Good.
you're interested in this, you know, come to this place and you can learn about it. And we had turnout, you know, and I asked them how they found out, and they said the Facebook page, and it worked, and it was great.
No,
you know, and a lot of those people are still participating, even during the pandemic. Once, yeah.
That's
Go ahead.
That's
Sorry.
great. No, that's exactly what needs to happen. Like I said, once you get something going, you have to keep it going, and to keep it going means you actually have stuff planned. So you're like, okay, we're going to do this demo, but after the demo, we need to make sure we do 3 things in the next 2 weeks afterwards to make sure that they're going, that they're still interested, that it's still in their mind. It's not like, oh yeah, that was great, and then, oh, it's gone. Something else found their interest. You got to keep their interest. So therefore you plan, hey, let's have a nice little shootout at my place. And what we'll do is we'll have some of the members bring some food, and we'll make it a small little potluck. And I know pandemic reasons and everything. I'm just giving like a general concept. So you go, all right, we have the demo, then we'll have a meeting. And then what we'll do is we'll invite them over for some archery, and we'll have a little potluck. And then people can sit down, they can shoot, they can talk, they can bring some of the stuff so they can show off, oh yeah, this is one of my first pieces of garb. This is how I stitched it. It's from this period. You know, just general information, make people get a better understanding, a better image of not just the SCA, but the SCA is of the people. And we've all been there where there's some people in your group that do not do a good job in making people stay. But there's other ones that are like magnets, and they're like, hey, so what's the next thing you guys are doing? Well, we're doing this. Are you going to be there? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to be there. And that's one of the nice things, because then it's like, it's both an interest in the society and what we do, the stuff we do, the fighting that we do, the actual activities. but then it's also the interest in the people in the group. And that's when people find, oh yeah, you know what, I now go to watch movies or play board games or anything like that. Because at that point, it becomes a social environment too. And you start having friends. And then when they start showing up, then they start dating someone, that person starts showing up, or they got a roommate and they're like, hey, you know what, if you're not doing anything, come with me, you'll really love this. And now the roommate is now a part of it. People come in because of people. Let's see if you can still hear me. I'm talking a lot. So I'll just say,
Yeah, I can hear you sometimes.
people come in because of people inside the group a lot. Like a girlfriend or boyfriend or roommate.
Excellent point, sir. It's okay, I don't have to hear you. It's not so much for me, it's for other people.
I know, but it's just so much better when it's interacting more, and it's not like hello.
And I lost you again.
So frustrating. I know it's
I'm trying to type when I lose you.
I know it is.
Type when I lose you, so I'm not constantly interrupting you.
Signal that is the problem. I spelled problem wrong. That's not good. All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually close this one. It's been about an hour. So what I'm going to do is close this, and then we'll have another discussion. I'll try and let the internet kind of reset itself for a bit, and then we'll try and pick up with the next part of our discussion. All right, talk to you later, everyone.